What happens when two successful entrepreneurs get together for a drink? They talk shop, of course. So grab your favorite cocktail and sit alongside Scott DeLong and Vince Moiso, two seasoned business leaders that have driven their own companies to success, as they share from their experience and dive deep into the secret sauce that can turn a company around. The CEO Podcast starts now.
Hey everybody, I am Vince Moiso. I'm here with my friend Scott DeLong, and this is the CEO Podcast, Cocktails, Entrepreneurs, and Opportunity. And we are drinking some local beer once again, Swami's IPA from Pizza Port. And this is their signature IPA. It's been around for quite a while, but solid IPA.
I will say that I've had this before, but I've always had it with their pizza. It is my favorite pizza. Their crust is excellent.
Yeah, it's good pizza.
I just love it there. So.
Yeah, it's good, and it's a good one to eat with pizza or drink with pizza. That's it. This is one of those IPAs. Can't go wrong when you're eating Pizza Port pizza for sure.
There you go.
Today we are going to talk about body language, the importance of it, the power of body language, and certainly how to understand it, and some do's and don'ts. And this was actually a suggestion from a listener. And so I just want to call out Jeremy Harper, say thank you for giving us a suggestion. And in our second podcast, which was a two-parter on communication, it was suggested that we didn't quite touch enough on.
Yeah, we touched on it, but we didn't go deep into
we didn't go deep.
And
this is a topic that's easy. I mean, we could spend a long. You and I talked about whether or not this was something that we really wanted to devote an entire podcast to, and I think you laughed and said, "Yeah, I could literally teach a class on body language." So spending 20 or 30 minutes in discussion.
There are lifetimes of people that spent their time on body language. Dr. Paul Ekman, who did was the executive producer on a show called Lie to Me, right? And he would work on that. He was an expert in body language, and he actually had his studies went deeper than the body language that you and I know of. Like, so if we take a look at the basic emotions, sadness, anger, joy, surprise, shame or guilt.
There's an expression for every
There's an
single
expression for all those. And there's studies out there that suggest that most of us can pick 5 of the 7 if we showed the pictures.
Yeah.
Quite a few of us can pick all 6 of the 7.
Yeah.
Now, your forum went through an exercise with me, and everybody there got all 7 of them right.
Yeah.
Right? Did a flash of the look, and what emotion is that? They picked the right emotion 7 out of 7 times.
Yeah.
So we know how to do this.
Yeah.
Right? We know how to do the basics in body language. But there's a lot more to it. So I'm excited about talking about this today.
Well, certainly when you think of body language too, it's the things that we do subconsciously as well. So there are times where you might have a look on your face, or your shoulders slumped, or it might be something else, and you're not even realizing you're doing it. And that has happened to me over the years, where I've had people point out, "Hey, did you even know that your shoulders slump when you say this certain thing? Or did you even know that your shoulders go back and your head goes up when you get really excited over this?" So it's funny. It's there's so much that you do that you're just not aware of. And then I think simultaneously to be thinking about body language in terms of being aware of what others are doing.
Reading the room.
Yeah.
Right? Understanding who you're talking to and what it is that they're doing. So one of the things that people talk about body language a lot, and we all think we can do it, right? And we've proven with the facial things we can, because we were taught that as children. Wipe that smirk off your face, young man. Right? You ever hear that? Yeah.
No,
so we learned to not smirk.
You maybe. I never.
Yeah, never you. Yeah. Okay. So we think we're pretty good at that, but there's a lot of other subtleties that happen, and Dr. Ekman talks about micro expressions.
Yeah.
Which are momentarily. So we try to fake our body, or at least our facial expressions a lot. Yeah. And we can. We can fake those. We can fake a cry. We could fake a sadness. We could fake surprise. We can fake that because we learned how. But what he is suggesting that you can't fake the micro expressions. Now, I'm not good enough to know the micro expressions yet.
I'm not good enough to fake expressions, period.
But I'm working on it. But there's more to it than just the facial expressions.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot to do with hands, the rest of your body. There was an interesting Joe Navarro was an FBI profiler, and he's written a couple books now, and he talks about things on some of the body language that he talks about was really interesting. And what he's looking for, and this is what I believe that I'm good at now. He says, and I believe this, that we think that we can tell who's lying and who's not lying. And that's really not true. We're not good enough for that.
Yeah.
But what I try to focus on is to see who's comfortable, who's in discomfort.
Yeah.
That gives me some clues. If you're talking to me about a story or you're listening to my story and I see discomfort, something's wrong.
Right.
Let's go explore that.
Right.
So I think that's the power of body language.
And eye contact, right? Eye contact will tell you a lot about that, right? People tend to look away when they start to get a little uncomfortable with something. They look down, won't make eye contact whatsoever. They're embarrassed to make eye contact because they might, feel a certain way about something that they might be telling you. So eye contact is incredibly important. We joked, you and I have joked before about this, but what about the handshake?
Yeah.
It's what about the eye contact and the handshake at the same time, and then the power, the physical, maybe if I want to dominate you, the physical domination of just a handshake
coming over on top. So this is fun to do. So go on YouTube or any TV show if you want, and watch when people greet each other and how they're doing it. When they come together with a neutral handshake where both hands are in alignment with each other, great, mutual respect and all that kind of stuff. Powerful people that want to expend their power will come over the top, bring their shoulder up, and make sure that their palm is facing down, and you can't do anything about that, right? Yeah. You have to take my hand the way that I presented it. The first one gets to make that decision. Donald Trump's interesting because he goes just the opposite. He defers power because he's going to get you later. Right? So he comes underneath with his handshake, watching that.
You said something when we were talking about this before. You said something about Obama, too.
Master.
Yeah.
A master. So what Obama did, and you can look this up, but what Obama did, if someone came into him, Putin or whoever came into him with the power handshake over the top, right? Yeah. Great. He's got a more powerful position than I do. Yeah. So what Obama would do is come over here and put his other hand on him or on his shoulder, in a more of a dominant position, gentle but dominant, just to say, you can't do that to me.
Subtle
you can't
things,
do that to me.
And how much is being said without anything being said?
Sure. Well, go back to when the body language became an issue. Back in the 60s, I think it was 1967, there was a UCLA psychologist, Dr. MEHRABIAN, Albert MEHRABIAN, who did 2 studies on body language. And if you've heard before that 93% of communication is nonverbal. Well, that came from MEHRABIAN studies.
Yeah,
it's not true. It's not true. And he's even backed off of that. And he said, I didn't mean all communication. I mean, as you and I are on the phone, almost 100% of it's going to be verbal, right? So it's not all communication. But what he's suggesting is that 55% of the communication comes from the body. 38% came from the tone of voice. And I could tell you, when my wife tells me all the time, most of what she reads is my tone of voice, especially when I'm in trouble.
Well, so let's talk about that for a second, though. And you bring up the phone call, and you're talking about that being 100% verbal. I actually would disagree with that. And the reason I say that is if I'm smiling when I'm talking to you, you're gonna hear it and feel it. If I'm sitting up versus slouching down, or whatever might put me, if I'm outside versus inside, if, the expression I put on my face, the expression I put in my body, what I'm wearing. I mean, we've talked about this before, is in this virtual world of now we're getting on, Zoom and Teams and WebEx and GoToWebinar and all these tools that we can use to function online with each other. But we still, when you dress in a suit or you dress nice, it puts you in a different mental state. And so we talked about on the phone before, we've had this conversation before where you can feel if I'm smiling when I'm talking to you over the phone. And so I do think body language can equally be important just in a phone call.
So here's one of the lessons of that is with the virtual world that we've gotten ourselves into in the last 18 months, in the last 18 months or so, and what's going to be happening in the future. There's going to be more Zoom. There's going to be more remote. There's going to be more phone calls. There's going to be more of that than the in-person thing. People are going to be working from home. Don't wear your pajamas to work. You wouldn't do it if you were going to the office.
Right.
Please don't do it when you're not. Turn your video camera on so people can see you. It's not just for them. It's for you.
Yeah.
It puts you in a frame of mind. I just believe that. I know I'm going to catch some crap, especially from some of the younger generation who says, what does it matter? Because I've seen kids go to school in pajamas, right?
Yeah, it matters.
And they're going to say, what does it matter? But it matters. And I don't know that you can just say, trust me on this, but trust me on this. It matters. Show up. Show up to work, even if you're working from your bedroom, right? Get ready for that Zoom call, putting on the right clothes. I mean, we're in polos because this is the casual kind of a thing, but
let's talk
about a meeting. I'm going to be wearing business
Of course
clothes.
you are. Of course you are. And here's what I'd say is there's a psychological component to all of that. And I'll just hit that for 30 seconds to a minute is psychologically we equate pajamas with sleep. Just like if you've ever heard, don't work in your bed. So people that do work in their bed have a hard time sleeping. Do you know why?
I'm laughing
because you just did a trick on your brain to say, oh wait, am I supposed to be sleeping or working now? And so it's the same thing. You show up at school in your pajamas. Am I supposed to be at school or should I be sleeping? And so your whole day, believe it or not, because you're in your pajamas, you basically told your body and your mind that I'm ready for bed, and you've tried to go to school. And so think about how exhausting that's going to be for you. It's the same showing up to work. And by the way, don't wear your pajama pants and
just a shirt.
And a suit,
Yep.
On top.
Yep.
Like that doesn't work either, because you've basically really mixed things up for yourself. So those of you that work in the kitchen, for example, psychologically that does not work either, because your brain equates being in the kitchen with what? Eating. Right? And so now all of a sudden you're doing work at the same time. It's confusing, and it's something that you're doing and you don't even know that you're doing it. So let's equate that to body language for a second, because this is what I want to talk about. I really want to get to the crux of it. And for everybody that is in a work environment, you're going to meetings, whether that's virtual or whether it's live, but you're in meetings and you're in a lot of them, right? You're having one-on-ones, right? Whether that's with a manager, with cohorts, or whatever that might be. So you've got all kinds of interaction with people. You're going to be working with customers, and that might be virtual, it might be face-to-face, whatever it is, right? And I want everybody to understand the importance of body language in just this right here. The message that you send from your body language is huge. So if I show up, Scott, if you're going to interview me, I show up and I'm not dressed appropriately, and I walk in, I immediately sit down. I don't even shake your hand. I immediately sit down and I slouch and I cross my arms and say, okay, I'm ready. What message does that send to you? I mean, there's all kinds of messages in that, but what ultimately does that send to you?
Were you interviewing me? Interviewing for me? You're not getting the full half hour. Sorry.
You're going to get about 5 minutes. And
as soon as I see the slouch.
And I barely said a word, right?
This was great, thanks, goodbye.
I didn't shake your hand.
Yeah.
I slouched, I crossed my arms. I mean, and I never said a word. And oh, by the way, you've basically just made your decision in the first 30 seconds that I've been there, and I hadn't even said a word.
Yeah. So reading the body language is important, but also but being prepared and getting yourself set up for what you want to present is equally important. So one of the things that I like to talk about is presence, right? I will, whether this is a fault or something that's good, I can command a room. I can walk in a room and I own the room. I don't know why. I think I do. I think it has to do with the body language. It's how I present. I come in and I stand as tall as I can. I stand tall. I walk in the room and I own the room. It's my room until I give it back over to you, right? And I think that is all about me walking in, head held high, shoulders back.
Yeah.
With a look on my face that I know what I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about, right? And all of that sets the tone for the meeting. Now, there's sometimes that's intimidating, and I don't want to use it, so I want to defer and put it in my back pocket. Hold back on some of that, right? So the use of your own body language is equally as important as being able to read the room and understand what the other person is saying by what their slouch or their dominance or their positioning, right?
Well, let's talk about that for a second then, because I feel like with what you just said, you're talking about, as you're coming in to lead a meeting or give a presentation or whatever, right? I get that, but what if you're just a participant, And so let's talk about I'll use the meeting as an example.
Sure.
And you said, reading the room and recognizing what else is going on. And I don't care if you're virtual or if you're live in a meeting. But if you're on your phone and you're looking down and you're texting, you're not present.
No.
And that is body language. And that's body language as saying you're not here right now. You're not respecting anyone else's time in the room, and you're off somewhere else. And whatever it is that you're doing on your phone is more important than being here. I'd rather you not be here than to come into my meeting and focus on that. Another
The energy drain that one person who's sitting over there doing whatever they're doing takes on the rest of the group. Absolutely.
Well, ironically, what's just as bad, and I've walked into a meeting like this, is the guy in the corner with his legs crossed and his arms crossed and he's sitting back. You may as well be reading your text because you've just basically told me you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right? That literally you'd rather be doing something else and you're pissed off that you have to be at this meeting. I mean, that's what that body language exudes. And so you need to be aware. I mean, if I could just say, I'll just give this one piece of advice, is just, you got to be aware of your body language. You just really have to be self-aware. If you can take care of yourself, worry about yourself first and foremost, before you're worrying about others, then you're doing everybody a huge service, high value, that, look, be present, right? So just be present on the phone, be present on a virtual meeting, be present in a physical meeting. If you can do that and you get the mentality just to be present, you're going to change your body language naturally, because you're saying, I'm committing. And I've said this myself, especially in the way I show up in meetings, both physically and virtually, is very different than I did a decade ago. And I'm very aware of my own body language and how I show up. And I say to myself every time, I'm committed to being present in this meeting. And as a result of that, my body language comes in like this. And I'm sitting straight up. My shoulders are back. I'm listening. I'm attentively listening. And it's that in and of itself gives me a presence to the rest of the room, because I'm saying to everybody else, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm listening, and I respect everybody else.
And you matter.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take this out of the boardroom or out of the conference room and take it into the social world. Right. So here we are. We're out looking to meet new people and, in the social world. And there was a lot of work and a lot of books written in the 80s about how to get dates and all that kind of stuff. And most of it wasn't about pickup lines. It was about presence and body language, right?
Huge.
So reading the room there. So for instance, I'll give you a couple tidbits here. One of them was you buy somebody a drink and they stay squared off, right? So their shoulders pointing to you. They're not interested. That's a show of not interest. A show of interest is if they turn towards you and they open up and they present themselves. If they present at a 45-degree angle, that's a safe angle. If they present at a 90-degree angle, there's an interest in there.
Whoa, buddy.
Sorry.
Relax.
Well, it gets worse. So if I really want to present interest, I'll touch you. Just bam, right there.
Now you're going too far.
So I open up and I touch. So that's in the books, and that's in the how to meet women and do all those kind of things, and but there was something even more interesting than that, and this didn't come from those books. You could fake that too. I can fake it. I can fake interest. The 45 degree is kind of neutral. Thanks for the drink. I want another one, but go ahead. That's fine. But I'm just not interested. So if you really want to know if there's interest, don't look at their shoulders for that open position.
Yeah.
Check their feet.
What's up with the feet?
The feet point to where they want to be.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. So
that's
watch
a new one.
This is really cool.
That's a new one.
So do this when you're in a group of people. If you see somebody whose feet are pointed out, like here's the group, and we point the feet out.
It's like 1 foot out the door.
They want out the door.
Yeah.
They want out of here.
Yeah.
No matter what they do with their touching and their smiling and their this and they're being polite. We've learned how to fake it. Your feet have not learned how to fake it yet. So the first thing you want to do if you want interest, see where their feet are pointed. If they're pointed towards you, you got a shot.
Yeah.
If they're pointed away, time to move on. Buy that drink for someone else. So that's a cool tidbit.
Yeah.
It's one of my.
That's a new one for me.
It's one of my favorites.
I didn't know about the feet.
It's check the feet.
Well, I just want to be clear about one thing before we go any further. I was not dating in the 80s. I was a kid. So I thought I just thought I'd establish that. So if that's something that we learned by dating in the 80s, that's good. So still all relevant today, though, Scott. Still all relevant today.
So that goes along with one of my favorite sayings: is always hang out with someone with a little more gray hair than you.
So I can get wisdom. So I can get wisdom.
Right, and you look better. Makes you look better too.
Thank you for all of that. All right, so let's do this. I just want to do this. Give our listeners 3 things that they should do today to focus on body language.
All right, first one is self-reflection. So I think all learning comes from self-reflection. If I'm not going to take a look inside myself, I'm not going to learn shit. Just not. I have to look and see what I'm going to do. So check yourself is one of the terms that you use. Check yourself and show up with the intention that you want others to see.
Got it.
If you want to be strong, stand tall. Shoulders back, hands down in a neutral position. If you want to be dominant, come over the top and dominate somebody and just, glide hand them and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to be a little submissive, then defer a little bit. Step back, be polite, right? So know your intention and then make sure that your body is congruent with the message that you are trying to send. Mm-hmm. If I want to be submissive, yet I come out pounding the table, all right, it's incongruent, believe the negative.
Okay.
Believe the negative. I'm faking something there, right? If I come on with this dominant body language and yet there's some weird comments that are coming out of my mouth that seem submissive, believe the submissive.
So self-reflection, know your intent. What's the third?
And the third one is read the room.
Got it.
Read the room. Pay attention. Like you said that it's more important. Well, start with knowing yourself. Absolutely, I agree. What are you bringing to the table? But also reading the room. If I see somebody with their feet pointing out, I'm not going to waste any more time. Move on, do something else. If I see someone that is cold and disinterested, their arms folded, how do I break that down? What I need to do is look for a way, if I want to continue this relationship, I look for a way to provide comfort rather than discomfort. Said that a little bit earlier. Comfort means someone is open, they're willing. Discomfort means like they're a little protective, or they want out of there. So see, if you can just start there, read between comfort and discomfort, you will know how to make that. What is the next thing that I need to do right now?
Got it.
Change the tone, get out, keep going, right? Read that portion, comfort versus discomfort.
Okay, so you said number 1, self-reflection. Number 2, know your intent. 3, read the room.
Read the room and look for those 2 things, comfort versus discomfort, and then act accordingly after that.
So I would say I would describe the 3 things, and I'll say it like this: self-awareness. I would say the word self-awareness versus self-reflection.
Okay.
Self-awareness. So it's being aware of your body language at all times. Second would be external awareness, which you said read the room. So same thing. It's being aware of others, whether that's in a social setting or whether that's in a professional setting, whatever that might be. It's just that external awareness, right? And then the third thing is, for me, is just being present and making sure that your body language represents being present.
Congruent.
Yeah.
Right? Be like.
Yeah, so similar to what you said,
Yeah.
I'm saying them in a little bit of a different way. So let me ask you this. Let's just talk about, before we finish up. Let's do do's and don'ts.
Yep.
So just give three do's and don'ts.
It depends. What's my intent, right? So I'm going to go back to what my intent is. So if my intent is to own the room, and often my intent is to own the room. I'm going to walk in. I'm the chairman of the board. I'm going to be running the company. I'm going to, whatever that might be. I'm going to be making a presentation. My intent is going to be to own the room. So to own the room, I have to come prepared, know my stuff. Everyone needs to know their stuff, right? I need to dress appropriately, and I need to walk in with the confidence and command that I want the audience to believe.
And your body language has to represent all that.
It has to represent that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be facing the audience. I'm going to be looking at them. One of the things, when they talk about public speaking, some of the techniques that, pretend they're in their underwear, or look over their head so that you're not, bullshit. Just the opposite of that. Look in their eyes. You want to do? Look in their eyes.
Yeah.
You want to read the room? You can't do that if you're pretending they're in their underwear, or if you're looking over their heads at the back of the room.
Right.
You got to read the room by looking into people's eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my biggest do, is don't fall in line with some of the psychobabble that says, hey, we can get you through this. No. Have enough confidence that I can look you in the eyes and tell you what I'm going to tell you, and adjust based on what you're hearing.
Yeah. Mr. Miyagi, right? Look the eye.
There you go.
It is. That's a do for me.
Yeah.
Do make eye contact. I mean, I think that is critically important, is that, if you're attentively listening, if you want to show people that you're having a conversation and you're focused and you're present, you need to make that eye contact. So do make eye contact. Don't be preoccupied. So when you're looking away, when you're looking down at your phone, when you're doing everything else but making that eye contact, then you're sending a message that you're disinterested, right? And almost disrespectful. Okay, so secondarily,
more than almost disrespectful.
You are.
It is.
It is disrespectful. Do smile.
Or looking at my watch, or looking at the pretty girl that walked by instead of what you're talking. Yeah, that's disrespectful.
A big is do smile as much as possible. I believe that smiling is totally infectious. It's pretty hard not to smile back when somebody smiles at you.
But you know who else you're infecting? You're infecting you.
For
with
sure.
Your smile.
I feel better when I smile, and I know others around me feel better when I smile. So that's a big do for me. Do smile. I think smiling puts you, put your body language, puts everything about you in that, being present, and everybody around you will be infected by that. Don't, the body language, like slouching your shoulders, putting your head down, here's a body language moment. Right? It's just that, it's that deep breath of, I'm basically sending a message to you that there's something wrong with me, and I want attention from you, Scott, and all this.
The first thing that I do when I see that, I say, "What's wrong?"
Don't do that, right?
No.
I mean, to me, is if you need to talk about something, then just say, "Hey, Scott, I need to talk about something with you," right? It's like, why go through all of that? Because the problem is the mental state and the emotion that puts you in. Is worse than just saying, Scott, I got to talk to you about something. So here's my do, right? Is be as direct as possible with your body language, and understand the message that your body language is ultimately going to send. Therefore, don't right, diminish or think that your body language is not that big a deal. That's my big don't. So when you're sitting there with your arms crossed, or you're slouching, and you don't think that that's not a big deal. It is a very, very, very big deal. So do represent the way that you want to feel through your body language.
All right, I'm going to give a couple tidbits here on things to read, things that you can see.
Yeah.
That the feet thing was really cool because that's my favorite one. I like that one. But there's a couple others that we all know that if crossing our arms means disinterest. But do you know why it means disinterest? What it really is suggesting is it's protecting my organs, my vital organs. It goes back to the whole.
It's a defensive move,
it's
right?
It's a defensive move
Yeah.
to hold back and protect myself.
Yeah.
The other protective mood, and women do this more than men, is oh my, and they put their hand up to their neck. Have you ever seen that happen with somebody? If you see a woman, in particular a woman, that puts her hand up to her neck, she is protecting herself from that saber-toothed tiger. It's like really
That's crazy.
weird. So that's
Yeah.
a discomfort move.
That's
right?
crazy.
I just scared the shit out of that lady.
Yeah.
Because she protected her pearls or protected, but really she's protecting her neck.
Yeah.
Which is, you want to kill someone, go to the neck.
Super instinctive,
Oh,
right?
it's.
Yeah.
So anyway, a couple tidbits for that.
So where can they? So you talk about this information.
Yeah.
Where can they see it?
So Paul Ekman has an organization called the Paul Ekman Group that you can do. That you can learn the micro expressions. So you can go through there. They have courses that you can do that. Joe Navarro writes books. Read the books. Watch a lot of YouTube. And here's another thing that you can do. Watch a lot of videos with the sound off. If most of the language, most of the
You can
communication,
tell what they're saying.
most of the communication is nonverbal.
Yeah.
Turn the sound off and see if you can follow along.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
That's
if you want to
great
get better at this, turn the sound off the TV and see if you can tell the plot of the story.
Well, what about just getting in touch with their EQ?
Yeah, well, this leads to that, certainly.
Yeah.
So emotional intelligence is a big deal. And again, most of us think we're pretty good at this.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence stuff. And we're not. We're not. And it goes back to the self-awareness piece that we're not.
Yeah.
It is easy to see when other people are fucking up. Oh, did I use that right?
You did.
Okay.
That's appropriate.
It is easy to point the finger and see
Yeah.
what other people are doing.
Yeah.
It is difficult to see.
Point
what I'm doing.
inward
Right.
as much as you possibly
I like
can.
this one, right? When I'm pointing my finger out at someone, one finger out at them, 3 fingers are pointing back at me.
Yeah.
Again, one of my favorite sayings. When everyone else looks wrong, it might not be them.
It might not be. Most likely it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So body language is important, right? And self-awareness of that body language is the most important part of what the message is here today. So that's about all the time we got for this afternoon. So that beer went down pretty easy for you, Scott. I see an empty glass.
Yeah, well, it had as much to do with figuring out technology as it did anything. No, it didn't. The beer was good.
Well, cheers to that.
Folks,
thanks for listening, everybody. And I hope you got out of this too, is please give us feedback. We love the feedback. And if it gives us content for our next podcast, then we're happy to do it, and we're happy to go deeper with these things. So keep the feedback coming. Appreciate it. As always, check out the CEOpodcast.net for more information. If you want to get in touch with Scott or I, listen to us on Spotify, on Apple, and other places. Check out our YouTube. If you go on YouTube, you can find our channel. Just search the CEO Podcast. And you can see us on video as well, if you're so inclined, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So until next time, cheers.
Thank you for joining us for the CEO Podcast. To learn more about Scott and Vince, please visit theceopodcast.net and check out the calendar to tune in for our next episode. While on the site, you can also listen to past episodes, access additional content created for our listeners, and if you would like to dive deeper into any topic, there is an option to schedule some time with Scott or Vince. Thanks for listening.